Hello and welcome. You're watching ET Now. Today we've got a special telecast for you planned, not on markets or economy or global macros or companies, but on a very interesting book which one of our key contributors, Saurabh Mukerjea, and his friend Anupam Gupta have put together called The Victory Project. This is the book I'm talking about, The Victory Project, 6 steps to really go about getting your peak potential. We also have not only Saurabh on the show today, but someone Saurabh looks up to, someone who has carved out a niche in the area of startups, technology companies, Mr. Sanjeev Bhikchandani. Way back, decades back, he started up Naukri.com. Of course, now is a very successful, not only entrepreneur, but investor in several companies, and is one of the examples Saurabh has spoken about in this book, how individuals go about really unlocking their full potential and how our viewers and people in everyday life can also go about doing that. The gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Today we are having this interesting chat with you, breaking away from the normal hardcore business talk which we have and markets with Saurabh and Sanjeev both on our various platforms. So gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Ajay.
Thank you for inviting me, and Saurabh, thank you for including me in your book.
Great. So Saurabh, let me kick off by understanding the idea of this book, The Victory Project, the way you named it. And usually we speak to you about how companies are going about, expanding their capacities and acquiring their full potential, etc., capacity utilization, as they say. But here, interestingly, you're talking about how we individuals with practice and a plan can actually go about unlocking our own potential. So how did the idea come to you for this book?
So Ajay, it was a couple of years ago. So Anupam Gupta, my friend, and I, we were having a cup of coffee in Lower Parel, and we were discussing as to how the evolution of great companies in our country, right? The evolution of the companies that I've described in, say, Unusual Billionaires, companies like Asian Paints or HDFC Bank, or indeed the evolution of the company that Sanjeev founded 30 years ago, Infoedge, how the stories behind them are actually very similar, and especially how the stories of great promoters, great fund managers, and indeed successful people, many other walks of life, how there are common threads that you can join together in terms of what drives creativity, what drives outsized success across a variety of fields. So that was the backdrop, that cup of coffee we had 2 years ago in Lower Parel. And that led to this idea that can we write a book which tries to encapsulate, in 200 odd pages, what are the 5 or 6 things which are very common to outsize success across a range of fields. And given everything that's happening in our country in the last 6 months, we decided to give it an upbeat name, The Victory Project. The victory here we're talking about is hitting your peak potential, right? All of us are born with some unique talents. How do we get the most out of our talents? How do we do justice to our talents? Whether we are a promoter of a very successful company like Infoedge, or whether we are, a journalist or a media broadcaster in your profession. How do each of us get to the top of our game? The Victory Project is basically trying to get to the heart of that conundrum.
I agree with that. I mean, while reading this book, I could relate to it so much. I must confess, I've gone through it about 75% of it before I go to the second part of this series. I'm sure I'll complete it, but I could completely relate with it, and there are so many interesting examples which you've taken. Let me shift focus and talk to Sanjeev. Sanjeev, yours is a beautiful story in itself. The way, despite of having such amazing, education, St. Stephen's, IIM, you were clearly focused on starting a company, and you really ditched those amazing offers and great jobs, which usually people from your background, opt for. How were you so focused on your objective? And do you agree with Saurabh in the point that if you have a plan and it's almost like a template, like, does it increase probability of individuals to really unlock their full potential in the long run? And you can talk by example, because indeed you have unlocked quite a lot of your own potential.
Truthfully, I'm a terrible planner. I'm a bad planner. I don't have a detailed plan ever. I have a broad goal, I have a fuzzy goal, I have a dream, and then I know the first 2-3 steps. And then I say, uske baad, dekha jayega. Now, obviously, in a large company, you can't do that, because now, but when I was starting out, that's precisely what happened to me. So I had been dreaming of being an entrepreneur for many, many years, but I would never have the courage to take that first step and walk away from a comfortable job and not get a salary check every month, at least for some time. And which is why it took me 6 months, 1 year to actually muster up the courage to take the final step. But eventually I did manage to do that. And we started life very small in a servant quarter of a garage, where we were paying 800 rupees a month rent in 1990. And from there, we sort of grew and we did small products first. For the first 7 years, I drifted and did a bunch of small things. And in 97, we launched Naukri as seemingly one more small idea. I'd done 20 small ideas by then. And I did not have a great grand vision or anything. It looked like a nifty small idea. So I think visions evolve. I think we didn't build a Taj Mahal on day one. I think it's the effort of 20 or 30 years. And that's how it happens. If you look at any sort of very good company, any great company, it is usually the product of the lifetime effort for a few people. Whether you look at Microsoft, it took a lifetime of Bill Gates and a few other people to build. You look at Google, they launched in 1998, they're still at it. You look at Facebook, 2005, still at it. So no very good company, great company is built in 3 years or 5 years or even 10 years. It takes a lifetime. And if you want to do that, if that's your goal that drives you, then I think you should be prepared to commit a lifetime.
Sure. Sanjeev, that is one point well taken. If you are going about founding your own company and really growing it, and we'll get into the details of the steps which Saurabh talks about. But just a follow-up point, when you meet people, because you're not only a founder, entrepreneur of company, but you're also an investor in several other companies. How do you spot that spark in them? What do you see? Some signs which tell you that this guy can really go about expanding his own horizons and unlock the potential as a leader, because that is exactly the essence of the book, how to unlock your own potential. And a great leader in an entrepreneur or a company startup the value gets captured in the company also the guy is heading, isn't it?
So look, I think when we invest in early stage companies, there is some evidence that you have, but there are a whole lot of assumptions, and there's a fair bit of judgment, and then there's a leap of faith, right? It's a mix of all these 3-4 things. But one of the key indicators that we look for is this thing showing natural traction? Is this solving an unsolved problem? And to assess that, we ask one very crucial question. Where did you get this idea from? Ye idea kahan se aaya? Now, if the guy tells us, you know what, it's worked in the US, so I thought I'll bring it to India, it should work here. It may work. But that's not the answer that draws us in. So I remember I met Deepinder Goyal for the first time in 2010, May or June, right? I didn't know him before that. And there was a site called Foodie Bay, which I used to use. Now, Foodie Bay went on to become Zomato. I used to use it. I was using it for about 6-8 months, 1 year. And what I loved about that site was that it had the menu cards of all the restaurants. So if you wanted to go to a restaurant, you could actually see the menu card. You could see the specific dishes. You could see the price. And then you could figure out if you wanted to go there or not. And no other website had this unique feature. So I had got hooked onto this site. And then one day Hitesh spoke to me, Hitesh Oberoi, our CEO, my partner. He spoke to me and he said, have you seen Foodie Bay? I said, yes, I love it. I've been using it. He said, oh, why? It's great. Why don't you look at it for investment? And the penny dropped. I said, yeah, why don't we look at it for investment? It never occurred to me. How silly. So then I went to Network Solutions. I did a Whois search. I found out Deepinder Goyal's name in the admin contact. I did a Google search for Deepinder Goyal. I found his email ID somewhere and I sent him a cold email. And he came to meet me in 2 days. He was 27 or 28 years old then. We got talking. And I said, "Ye idea kahan se aaya?" He said, "Look, I used to work in Bain Consulting and in Gurgaon. He was 2005 batch IIT Delhi. He'd done a startup for a year, didn't work, then went and joined Bain for 2 or 3 years. He says, I used to work in Bain Consulting. And Bain was an office in Gurgaon where maybe 50, 60 people worked, mostly young, many males, wouldn't bring food from home, working hours were long. So very often people ended up having lunch and dinner in the office. And office had a cafeteria, but it would not serve food. You could bring your own food and eat it there. So to make life easy for the people, the admin department had, the admin team had created a file folder of maybe 70 or 80 restaurants that would deliver to that location, the delivery menu card, a file folder banaya tha, right? And Deepinder said, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a huge line to see the file folder. It takes me 20-25 minutes to get access to it. And then I get it only for 3 minutes. It's a pain. And I'm hungry and I've got work to do. I've got to get back to my desk. And so he says, I came in one Saturday and I scanned that file folder, I scanned the menu cards and put them up on my personal page on the office intranet. And he says, within 2 days, the IT infra guy came to me and said, what have you done? Why is all the internal traffic going to your page? And he said, that's when the penny dropped. And I realized that it's not just my problem, it's everybody's problem. Therefore, aggregation of menu cards has got value. So with permission from his country manager, he began to go on weekends to visit restaurants in Delhi NCR and pick up their menu cards. And soon enough, he had done 800 restaurants and he launched his site. And immediately traffic began to come and people got hooked. Now, that little story saying source of idea, this customer insight, unsolved problem. So successful businesses are built on deep customer insights. And if you do that, you will get natural traction. If you're getting natural traction, it means that you don't have to sell, the customer will buy on his own. And if you're in a situation where the customer is buying without you selling, you're in a very good place, very high likelihood of success. Likewise for Policy Bazaar, likewise for Naukri. This is one key indicator. Of course, quality of team matters a lot. Will they stay committed? Can they handle people? Are they ethical? Will they be good to minority shareholders? Are they complementary skills? Is it a solo founder, multiple founders? All those things matter. But at the core of it is this. And the other thing I want to tell you about early stage investing is, investors may say whatever or believe whatever, that, we were responsible for success. Answer is no. The biggest kept secret of early stage investing is to invest behind entrepreneurs who are going to succeed anyway, with you or without you. Money is a commodity. वो कहीं और से आ सकता है. But वो कामयाब होगा with you or without you. If you can spot that guy and then be grateful he let you in, he or she, right? You will be all right.
Sanjeev will expand that point on how some promoters respect capital and how frugality also is important. It's all of that. But let's come back to Saurabh. Saurabh, let's talk about some of the elements that you have spoken about, these steps. I was reading a wonderful example of Krishnadeva Rai, the legendary ruler, and how he was disciplined. How do you, explain the importance of discipline, importance of habits, how they shape and mold great leaders, unlock their full potential? Talk to us about that, which you've spoken about in the book as well.
So I think, what we have tried to do in the book is, create this thing, simplicity paradigm. Simplicity paradigms is, choose an area you want to specialize it, simplify that discipline, come up with some simple rules, some simple thumb rules for success, build an element of spirituality so that, you're not perpetually spending your life saying me, ramp up the creativity, figure out how to collaborate amongst a group of talented people, and, reduce clutter in your life. That's the simplicity paradigm. That's the sixth. Now, there's the algorithm that Sanjeev just gave us. A couple of minutes back about how he and the team at Infoedge support great startup is actually a classic example of how Sanjeev and his colleagues have taken a complex subject. How do you identify successful startup in this country? And how do you take that complex subject, turn it into a super simple algorithm, right? The insights we got in the last 5 minutes, Ajay, that's basically 20-25 years of experience distilled for you and me in 5 minutes, right? And that is the power of a guru. So in the book, we talk about how in helping you simplify, how in helping you specialize, a guru can be enormously powerful. And Sanjeev just gave us a demonstration of how a guru can take 25 years of intense experience, crunch it into a simple algo for you in 5 minutes, an algo which you can then replicate year after year and derive immense value from, right? So simplifying complexity, you do it the way an iPhone does. The iPhone inside has a think parts worth, I think 5,000 parts worth $400. The iPhone retails for $1,100 because they're simplifying complexity. You can do it in the way Apple does it, or in the context of venture capital investing. We just got a superb demonstration on how a great VC simplifies complexity and delivers enormous value to their investors. In all humility, I have to claim that we at Marcellus are trying to do the same for our clients in the stock market. They're giving us their life savings. We're simplifying stock market investing using my preceding book, Coffee Can Investing. So the crux of outsized success is first specialize. Sanjeev and his colleagues have specialized in venture capital investing for the best part of 20 years. Specialize. That will then lead to simplification. Combine the simplification with a degree of creativity. Work with a group of talented individuals, collaborate with a group of talented individuals, and voila, you have the recipe for mind-blowing success, and you're doing full justice to yourself and your own potential.
Right. Saurabh, in order to achieve this objective, how important it is to declutter your mind, how to declutter your, the physicalities around us, be it homes or offices. And you've spoken in a beautiful word of even decluttering your life from fruitless relationships, so that you can focus completely on your objective with a laser kind of a focus. Talk to us, expand that point for us.
So in a way, if you're going to simplify, you're going to seek deep insights into a complicated subject, Ajay. If any of us are going to seek deep insights into a complicated subject, it obviously helps if all other, clutter in your life, whether it's mental clutter of having to do too many things in a compressed work day, or, physical clutter, you're ending up filling your life with unwanted objects, right? The less clutter you have in your schedule, in your mind, in your lifestyle, the more likely is that you'll give laser-like focus to the area where you're trying to come up with.
How can one go about really unlocking our creativity to the fullest? That is a very important in our daily life, power of ideas, how constantly we need to come up with ideas in order to improve performance at our workplace, be it businesses or even for startups as well. And then we'll talk to Sanjeev about this. Saurabh?
So look, as Anupam and I were writing this book, we made it a point of reaching out to individuals who had proven creativity over several decades. So not just Sanjeev Bikhchandani, we spoke to Mark Mobius, we spoke to Harsh Mariwala Sahab in Bombay, we spoke to Professor Bakshi in Delhi. And what we found, Ajay, was that across creative people, there are 5 things which are very common. The first is, reading a wide variety of material from a variety of sources. As Charlie Munger memorably says, he's never met a smart person who does not read non-stop. The second is a variety of experiences. So travel, especially traveling, doing a variety of things in life. I think in those 7 years, where 1990 to 97, when Sanjeev was putting the basics of InfoEdge together, Naukri together, I think he held down 4 or 5 jobs. Right, that 7-year period where he did a variety of things in life was basically the further juicing up of creativity. The third element is a high output rate. You won't find too many creative people who sort of produce one creative work in 5 years. Most creative people are going at it all the time. Katakat, they're going at it. Whether they are movie directors, whether they are venture capitalists, whether they are promoters, high output rate. And the final element is the ability to convince other people that, look, join me in this journey. This is a fun journey. This is an interesting journey. We're going to somewhere interesting. And the ability to collaborate with like-minded creative souls is another hallmark of creativity. So reading a variety of experiences, high output rate, and collaboration amongst other like-minded souls, hallmarks of creative people across professions.
Great point. In fact, let me take a leaf out of that answer of Saurabh and talk to Sanjeev about collaborations. Sanjeev, how important are they, and how should one go about striking the right ones? And not only collaborations of organization to organization collaboration. How should leaders collaborate with other smart people in their own organization around us? Saurabh has also spoken about a very interesting word called team of rivals, that you can work together even if you don't like each other. Talk to us about it, because you can give us first-hand example, isn't it?
Well, so look, almost no creative idea and almost no idea of mine has been something which I have thought of in a vacuum. it's usually an external stimulus and interaction with somebody else, and so therefore you're collaborating even though it's not formal. So the idea of Naukri, evolved from an insight that I had that when I was in my last job in HMM, there were 10 or 12 of us in an open hall. And I used to observe that all my colleagues would read the office copy of Business India from the back, always, because there were 35 to 40 pages of appointment ads at the back. And it was that told me jobs are a high interest category of information. People see jobs before they read the articles, even if they're not looking for a job. And so when I saw the net for the first time, I sort of joined the dots and said, let's just get jobs from newspapers around the country. And there were 29 newspapers we used to buy, which had appointment ads, and we used to rehash those ads and put them up. And that's how Naukri started. So was it my original idea? In the form that we launched it, yes, but the stimulus came from an observation. So in the first 3 years, of doing Naukri, the ideas were probably mine. But then, we began to, we raised venture capital, we got a sales team, and we started a simple Yahoo group, an email group, where we put all the salespeople, we put the product marketing tech people, and we put the senior management. And we told the sales guys, whatever feedback a customer gives you, just write bullet points and put it on this group. So every day, 10, 15, 20 pieces of feedback would come, right? And if we found that the customers are giving feedback which is similar, we would incorporate that in offering. So the ideas are no longer ours. The customer was telling us what to do. We were simply doing it. So you listen to your customer, you observe your customer, you will get your ideas. And that's a form of collaboration. So the customers did not know that there was a Yahoo group at the back and the feedback they were giving would be faithfully reproduced. But it was a great way of harnessing customer feedback because every day there were 100 sales calls happening, 200 sales calls happening. Maybe 20 or 30 of them resulted in some feedback, which the salesperson figured that it's worthwhile putting on this Yahoo group. And that's how we got ideas. So a lot of the ideas come from people interactions. Now you're collaborating, even though it's not a formal collaboration, right? So you don't have to have a contract to collaborate. You simply have to observe people, interact with people, work with people, sell to them, service them, or simply observe them. And they will tell you. And if you can join the dots, you will get your ideas.
Right. Before we really end this first half of the program, the series which we are having on Victory Project, Sanjeev, I would like to understand from you, how did you go about spotting future leaders within the organizations? Somebody like Hitesh, who's of course now the CEO and running the company well, but 20 years back has been with you and in various roles. How did you really go about to finding people who can build these enduring organizations the way your company has become now?
Yeah, so listen, you take bets on people, just as you take bets on companies, right? So you take bets on enough people, you will get 3 or 4 really good ones. Hitesh obviously was very good from day one, right? So Hitesh came to me. He went to IIT Delhi, studied computer science, went to IIM Bangalore, and then joined Hindustan Lever. And after 4 years in Hindustan Lever, he was seeing this .com thing happening, and he was wondering. And he, meanwhile, got a job offer from an internet company, internet startup based out of Bangalore. So he reached out to me and said, I want your advice. And he came to me for advice, and we sat for 3 or 4 hours and talked and talked and talked. And at the end of those 4 hours, I told him, why don't you ditch that offer and come and join us instead, right? And so he came. And he came initially, you'll do Naukri, you'll do one more another site which was going to be launched, where he'd have a 26% stake, but that site did not happen. So he joined Naukri, and he was full-time in Naukri, and he stayed. And he came without any specific role in mind. I said, you come on board and you figure out what you want to do. So we were only 9, 10 people then, and it's not as if he was going to head marketing or sales or anything. He just came. And after about 2 weeks, he came to me and said, listen, you have nobody heading marketing and sales. I think I can do it. Why don't I head marketing and sales? I said, sure, choose your job. And he chose his job. And we were selling by direct mail in those days, and we were doing 3 lakhs a month and of sales, right? And he came and said, I've now studied sales marketing for a month here, I think let's do an experiment. Let's hire 3 or 4 salespeople who will go and meet companies directly and try and sell. I said, sure. And he hired 4 salespeople, and we discovered that within 3 or 4 months, each salesperson was generating about 50,000 rupees a month in sales. And this number was headed north. And we had no variable cost other than sales commissions. So the total cost of a salesperson was, salary plus conveyance plus commission plus, mobile phone bill plus, office rent plus, depreciation on furniture, depreciation on shared computer, all that, the air conditioning. The total cost was working out at 22,000 rupees a month, and he was generating 50,000 rupees a month headed north. So clearly a salesperson was generating 28,000 rupees a month profit on the average, and this profit would then go to recovering corporate overheads. And we said we have found what we now call our repeatable profitable unit. Find your repeatable profitable unit and you can scale. So we said, let's just keep on adding more sales guys, right? And till the last sales guy does not break even on loan cost, and the company will grow and expand and scale, and you'll be profitable, which is what we did. In 2 years' time, we had 240 sales guys across 11 cities, and we had grown 35 times in 3 years, and we were profitable. And this thing of repeatable profitable unit, this thing of saying this is how we grow and scale, we stumbled upon it through an experiment. Let's hire 4 salespeople to see what happens. So a lot of creativity is also experimentation, learning by doing.
And of course, giving that conducive environment where people can experiment and allow them to fail or make errors as well is all part of learning. We'll wrap up this episode of the Victory Project Series 1, but we'll come back with another interesting discussion with Saurabh and another top performer, either from the area of business like Sanjeev is, or from the area of asset management or markets, to help our viewers understand how they can go about unlocking their full potential. And of course, if you have not done it already, a request to viewers to pick up their copy of the Victory Project. Saurabh and Sanjeev, I'll thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Since Saurabh managed to plug it, let me plug it.
Thank you very much for your time, and goodbye.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thanks, Ajay. Thank you.
Bye.